Hey all, this is Kid Aquarius, one of your hosts of the Gen X Gamer podcast. I'm excited to be here for the extended podcast show. I'm accompanied by my co-host Nightshade. Welcome, Nightshade. Good to see you.
All right, I'm so excited to be here, and I'm fantastically excited to have our favorite other host on the show.
Yeah, why don't you introduce him?
And we have Jack Kingsford, Wacko Jacko. He's back on the show. He's been on many of the podcasts over the seasons. And as you can tell, he's obsessed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And what could be more Gen X than that?
Heck yeah, that's what I'm all about. Thanks for having me on again, guys.
And if you didn't know, Jack, his alias is Frank E. Williams III. And he drew that picture right behind him. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Wait, isn't that your Elias?
No, this was Jenica, the girl turtle that I was alluding to last time. I know,
but look, the name in the right, the artist, it's Frankie Williams III.
Oh,
yeah. That's not you.
Stop it.
Okay, seriously. Okay, before we push forward, because we got important things to talk about, but let me ask, in the last week, don't go off on a long story. You got 20 seconds. What was your top gaming moment in the last week? You guys didn't see that coming. I'll tell you my top gaming moment while you guys think. My top gaming moment was the day last week when I won a match in duos with Chris, with Jack, and with Chris Furman, all in the same day, but separate games. So listen, there is a common thread in that little narrative that I just pushed out. And I don't know if you guys realized it, but it was me.
Oh.
Okay.
I thought you were saying there wasn't a weakest link otherwise, but it was the strongest link, of course.
There we go.
I should have seen that coming. For me, I've been obsessed with Rocket League recently. My kids just can't get enough of it. Every time I try to play something else, they're like, Dad, Rocket League? You know, and we either get on together or they watch me play. And we've been having some epic moments. I know it's been around for a few years, but that game is really intense. It's the car soccer game. And the physics in it is just so fun. And you get better and better, and then amazing things happen. Okay.
Jack, top gaming moment this week? Anything?
It was more of a family moment. So I set up an additional TV in our basement. And my daughter, one day when I was playing, came down on her own. All the boys were outside playing, and she just set up Donkey Kong and was playing next to me. And it was just a nice moment. We don't usually play video games a lot during the day. The kids don't play a lot. And so for her to just come down and just play, it was a nice moment.
Awesome. That beats both me and Chris's.
Retro.
Chris and mine. My horrible grammar there. Hey, so guys, I'm really excited about today's podcast. Nightshade and I talked about good topics that we should be addressing. And this is actually a topic I've been kicking around all 3 seasons, and I'm really excited to talk a little bit about it today. In fact, it was one of the stories we talked about in the Gen X Gaming News Update. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't seen that video, I suggest you go watch that video as an intro. But today's topic that we are going to dive a little bit deeper into is the wonderful topic of cheating and how much cheating takes place in the games we love, specifically those shooter games, Apex and Call of Duty. In fact, I think we're really going to focus in on those games because those are the games we primarily play that are shooters together and that we run into cheaters. The first question I'm going to throw out there at both of you is this. When did you first realize that cheating in this game is a real thing? Because I would imagine, Jack, I remember when you got back into gaming just maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, with the advent of Apex. And I'm sure that you heard me going off about cheaters and you might have been rolling your eyes in your head going, oh, okay, Corey, blah, blah, blah. But there had to be a certain moment when you said, oh yeah, there really are cheaters. Like, did you come to a realization, oh, Corey wasn't just making that up?
Yeah, well, it was. I remember because we would like play a match and then we'd be dead really fast, and that wasn't new to me because I wasn't very good. But then you'd be just yelling, cheater, cheater. And I'd be like, who's cheating in this game? Who would spend any time trying to cheat in this game? And then you started talking to me about the different mods, right? You were like, sometimes they just do mods where it's like automatic headshots, or like the cursor automatically goes to a character so you can just quickly shoot them, or their mods are so it's harder to hit their character, right? So just all these different kinds of mods. And then there was one day, I remember very specifically, we were watching it and there was this character, it almost seemed like they kept glitching, and they would like disappear, but not like the normal way like Wraith does, and then they just appeared out of nowhere and just started shooting us. And that was one of the first moments where I remembered like, oh, this is what he's talking about. And now when we play, gosh, it is so frustrating when you are just on fire and you're in a groove, and then all of a sudden, like in a second, you're dead, and you're like, that was impossible. I had the highest armor, I had the best loadout, I was ready to go, I saw the person, and they just like take you out.
We'll come back to that. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, Nightshade, did you have a moment, or were you just kind of always aware?
No. I wasn't aware, and even I thought you were using it as an excuse. Just something you say when it happened, and I was much less experienced than you. I still am, but when I first started, and I wasn't sure what was happening, and so when you started saying that, I started looking for it, and you realize those moments that's just like completely there. I guess there's subtle cheating, and then there's like give me a break cheating, and those you start to see more and more of those give me a break cheating here and there, and then they come in waves for the games. But I'd never experienced much first-person shooters. I usually played like Call of Duty, the one-player campaign. I never really played the multiplayer before, but now that it's like win or die, the cheating is something you just start to notice more and more, and it can bust the game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in the GenXGamer news update, I referenced 2 articles that had come out recently, just some news items. And really quickly, just as a summary, one was about Call of Duty, and it was just lauding the fact that they had banned another, I think, 60,000, and that the total up to date was 300,000 accounts that had been banned because of cheating. And then the other one was, well, actually, there was kind of 2 Apex ones. There was one that talked about how one of the champions of Apex, one of the best players in Apex, that found out that he was a cheater and had been using mods. As well as they were really excited because they were talking about how they had banned 657 users or some number close to that. And in fact, the person who banned those accounts on his Twitter, he's like, hey, I'm really tired. I'm going to bed. I just banned 400 and something PS PlayStation accounts. And anyway, so those were the 2 articles that I referenced in the gaming news update as kind of a precursor to this. But when I cite those examples, what comes to your mind? What do you think about those articles?
Well, obviously the first thing is the numbers. The Apex number is like 1/10 of the other one, and the total is much lower as well. But strangely, I feel like there's a lot more cheaters in Call of Duty. Particularly maybe 6 months ago, we all stopped playing. We were just so overwhelmed with the massive amount of cheaters at that time that it's just like, I can't take this. And we stopped playing for like 6 months. And we recently started playing again. And I think there's less cheaters, but
feels like it. I
don't know if Apex is, if it's the system itself. I'm just talking about the numbers. There's not as many, but I didn't see it as massively. Maybe you only take a few shots in Call of Duty, so if the aimbot is going to kill you faster, so you notice it. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to look at, does Apex or Call of Duty have structure that makes it harder for cheaters to get in? And that's kind of what came to my head with just seeing those numbers. But I'm glad they're doing stuff. And I know a lot of it's they use AI and different things, so it's not just one person going through each little report sheet. But I'm glad it's moving in the right direction, and I hope they make some like categorical big improvements that they can just catch things. But I guess they make the cheating programs just as fast as they patch them. So
yeah. Okay.
I think it's just I'm glad that they're doing it. I always, and I don't know much about how when they delete accounts, like if it's an actual Xbox account, if they ban an Xbox account, or if it's just a username. because what I have noticed, and you actually brought this to my attention, Corey, is that you'll notice that there's these user accounts that have like a cool name and then like 20 numbers after it. And so it just makes me think that they're just deleting or banning those usernames, right? And so then the kid or whoever it is that did their mods just make a new account, update those same mods, and then they're just out playing again, the next hour.
They do. Yeah, they certainly can do that. And another telltale sign of that is not only that, but like, for example, in the game of Apex, this is really prominent. You will notice that suddenly the champion squad is somebody who's at level 2, right? Or level 10. And their name is exactly what you just described, Wacko. And that is like some name with 5 numbers after it. And you know that all they're doing is just going as long as they can till that username gets banned and then moving on to the next username.
Yeah, and I wondered if they ban the IP address or how. I mean, it can't just be the account, or if it's the email connected to it. But in this day and age, it takes like 3 minutes to get on a VPN, change your IP address, get a new email. And so I don't know if they just jump in that way. But Call of Duty made a big thing. If these people are banned permanently, they'll never be on the game again. Well, whereas Apex, it's like, well, after season 9, we'll bring you back. You can kind of think about how much you love Apex and how sad you are not playing it, and we'll welcome you back. So that was also an interesting difference between the game companies.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I wonder if Apex is still, getting its roots, because Call of Duty is a franchise that spans a large number of years, right? I mean, that game's bringing in a lot of money. And so that might be part of it as well.
That's true. Yeah, and I don't know the numbers. I wonder if the player base for both of the games right now, and if that's part of why that the number of people banned is also different.
Go ahead.
But luckily, they're both extremely popular, and if you haven't played them, I recommend you dive in. It's a good time, and they have a lot of fresh things coming out. Especially Apex has more often a lot of fresh stuff coming out. And Call of Duty's due for a new massive map, but
well, they have the new zombie update. Did you guys see that?
Yeah,
I've never run into the zombies yet on it.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I just downloaded it, so you guys should download it and we should play.
You're gonna break from Apex?
Well, it's Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty every now and then.
Whoever's listening to this, if it's the apocalypse, it's because of that statement Jack just made right there.
Well, I'm preparing by killing zombies.
The world's coming to an end because Jack is playing a different game than Apex. Hey, okay, so a question that I'm really interested in discussing with you guys is, and I have a little bit of inside info to share here, but 2 questions. Number 1, why? I think all of us understand the idea that if we were using cheats, we would just be bored of the game. Like in my mind, I would be like, okay, big deal. I got, X number of kills, tons of damage. Look at my stats. Ooh. But in my mind, I'm just like, but I cheated. Like it means absolutely nothing to me. And it feels like our generation would take on that type of mindset. So I guess my question is, what's going on in the mind of a cheater? And why do you think older generations are probably, and this is me completely inferring, I have no evidence of this, but why would the older generations probably be more frustrated by this than perhaps younger generations? Any insights or thoughts?
I did think about that a little bit as you kind of prepared me with this topic of cheating, because I was thinking back in the day when I was cheating, I had to buy a Game Genie, right, and attach it to my Nintendo.
Did you just say when you were cheating?
Yeah.
The good old Game Genie.
the good old Game Genie. And
I remember that.
Yeah, but they were like pre-programmed cheats, right? Like there was a booklet that told you what kind of cheats that the Game Genie offered, and I remember getting. I didn't buy it. I actually borrowed it from a friend, and I remember there was a time where I played the original Ninja Turtle Nintendo game, and it just gave me the option to save. because before you couldn't even save the game, and there was a level that I would always get to normally, and the gameplay, if you remember the gameplay, it was this section where you had to like disarm these bombs, and you had a certain amount of time to do it underwater, and it was incredibly difficult. It was incredibly difficult. And then when I just had the option to save, so I would like quickly move to a bomb, save it, and then I just keep practicing the next little section, and you'd get a lot better at that next section. Anyways, so just allowing me to have that particular advantage, I mean, it was like cloud nine. I was like, yay, I finally beat this section. Even though I was cheating, it just still felt good that I finally could get past it and then get towards the end of the game and find out, get the little end credits. And what's different now, and what really irks me now, is that the platform is with other live individuals, right? Before there was no live individuals, just me just trying to get better at this particular game, or trying to beat a game, right? To see the end credits and to have that storyline or story arc, understanding all that. And so I don't understand why people do, mods or cheats. I just don't get it. On a personal note, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons. When I looked online, what are the reasons? One of the top ones was you can actually make money from selling, high loot items, and that's not such a thing. Maybe in Apex or Call of Duty, I don't think you can get on eBay and like buy a new character or a certain skin that's very, very rare. But in many games, that is a thing. And so people actually, as their job maybe is like a high level person, getting these upgrades. Another one with that upgrade is, in all the games, they have the battle pass, and there's stuff you can get as you progress. And if you do much better, get high kills and everything, you're going to get that new stuff before other people. So you have this shiny new thing to show off. Of course, and there's many people, I think, I'll never be this good. Even if I spend 50 years, but I want to feel what it's like to be a champion myself. And then there's like, I want people to know it's me. I want to control them. I want to dominate them. That's maybe another deep desire. It's like, I don't care. It's online. They're never going to know it's me, but I want to smack down on these experts, There's the fame. And for some people, like, where do these hacks come from? A lot of the hackers are probably better programmers than the game developers. When I heard when you're making a game, you think, well, I made this game, I'm the expert. But there's people that all they do is hack, and they just know how things are built, and they can reverse engineer. And part of it is the challenge. Like, you build a game, I'll show you. I'm a master hacker. I'm better than you as a developer, and get in there and be able to get people to get that. So, there's a lot of different reasons, and I think it's different for different people. Maybe for younger people, don't seem maybe to be as morally, affected by it. I know of course you're anonymous and whatnot, but I mean, maybe the cheating on this sort of level wasn't around when we started gaming, and so it's like we're here as gentlemanly, or not just for men, but all people, to have a great fair play sport. But for younger people, where it's like cheating and hacking is just part of what you grew up with. It's like, well, hacking is part of the strategy now for them. I'm not cheating. And
yeah, but how many people actually do the hacking, and how many people just buy the hacks? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I went on one of the big hack sites, researching about this. And it's very funny. They had these sort of like, they're like, if you do the rage hacks, they call it, they're like, we have rage hacks and we have the subtle hacks. We want you to play legit, it says, and use our added features to assist you. But we're worried if you use like the super cheat and you're just killing everyone before they even see you, they'll find out you're cheating and they'll ban you, and then the game will get affected and players will leave. So it's like, let's keep it cool. Play it subtle so people think you're cool, and use our hacks that way. And it's like director of marketing,
right? It's had
all
this
proud
pep
of
talk.
himself.
Yeah,
that's funny. So actually, Nightshade, we have a very good friend that's a part of our old gaming group, and I'm not going to say his name, even though he's been a guest on the podcast. Well, his offspring is exactly one of these hackers.
No,
who deliberately gets on and hacks shooter games. And as I talked to our friend about this, he had two big thoughts about this. Number one, they could care less if they get banned. It is no big deal.
Mm.
They are doing it to troll, and they love to troll.
Yeah.
And when we react and start screaming or do whatever or send them messages, that's their favorite thing in the world. Doesn't bother them at all. And then the second thing is that when they do get banned, it's all about figuring out how to overcome the ban and do a new hack and to get through. Like if you guys, we've talked about on Apex, the Apex game itself developed a new way of reporting players so that Apex could take care of them rather than just leaving it to Xbox. And now there's a hack that bypasses that and doesn't allow you to report players in the Apex. You have to just report them through the Microsoft and Xbox. And I don't think those go anywhere, when it comes to the cheating in the game itself. I think Xbox probably just leaves that to the game to manage. So I find it, anyway, kind of interesting that was his insight into this story. Regardless, it still pisses me off.
Right? Well, yeah, that's so interesting because I remember you had mentioned a time where you had messaged somebody and they just responded like, so what? Everyone cheats. And it's this idea. I think there's also maybe this underlying idea from other players that it's a way to even the odds, right?
Yeah.
If everyone else has a mod, then I should have a mod in order to make it at least somewhat even, which also makes me a little bit more proud of how well I've been getting or how better I've been playing, because man, if there's that many cheaters and I'm still able to win a few games like without cheating, it's like, okay, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing is, I don't know if we're going to cover this on the, one of your questions, but what's the strategy when there's cheaters out there? Does it mean you just turn the game off when you run into one? Or there are ways, of course, to beat the cheaters, if they can't
there's a way to beat the cheaters. Okay, the rest of the show is dedicated to this.
Well,
Nightshade, teach us.
Well, you add in the anti-cheat hack to the hack.
Oh, gotcha.
No, but I mean, sometimes we see cheaters and we're people and we're like, I think they're cheating. We're like, stay low, and so we sort of stay out of sight, and you got to ambush them right away. You can't just go out gunning. It's got to be like, okay, wait, they're almost around the corner, and then just nail them before their super cheat is able to like find your head and demolish you in seconds. And I think we've done that a lot. And a lot of times it's a ways off. Somebody just hit you when they shouldn't have been able to hit you on that first hit when they could barely see you. And then we kind of
the other direction and their bullets are curving around.
You just seem like their head bounces up. And since it's like their character model sees something, they'll be able to hit anything around. And then we're able to get down. And a lot of times I'm proud we're able to like take out the cheater team with our non-cheater, abilities. And that brings up a good point. That'd be pretty cool to see a mod that you would have that if it identified a cheat within the game that it like, I don't know, doesn't allow them to shoot or something funny like that, or it depantses them and then they trip or something. I don't know.
Okay, let's keep it clean.
Right, but we want the hackers that love a good game. They should be battling, the easy hackers, that just kind of download something and go in, don't put any effort. But if they're like, it came back and it's like, you've been, you're hacked now, you hackers, that'd be pretty cool too. Usually funny. It's like the developer versus like the hackers. We
can go back and revisit that depantsing mod and more Loba.
And I liked that, the Apex, it was a newer feature that came out, and it, you could get down to the nitty gritty about what kind of cheat you saw and help them really get beyond, is it cheat, yes or no, but like, this type, and really help them to figure out what to do. But then the cheat came out where, we know it's a cheater because it dismantles the cheat reporting part.
Well, which is so crazy. I mean, they're just so brilliant. And hats off to all of those hackers, right? I mean, that was pretty brilliant, because I remember you were getting ready to report somebody and you were like pissed off because you couldn't report them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was smart.
Yeah,
it was smart. Although it was funny because I messaged somebody who was cheating just a couple days ago, right? And they did exactly that. But I messaged them saying, hey, nice mods. Mm-hmm. And they responded laughing at me and then called me some really inappropriate names. So then I turned around and reported that exact message to Microsoft. And within 2 hours, I had a message from Microsoft saying that action had been taken against that account.
No!
I was like, yes.
Oh, that's so great.
Revenge. I may not have got you for cheating, but I got you for the bad language.
They tried to troll you. You ended up trolling them, huh?
Exactly. So, hey guys, we're gonna end here. But in your final thoughts, I want you to think about, I want you to share how this affects your life. For all of those cheaters that are watching this YouTube or listening to this podcast, so that they know really how they're affecting you. But more importantly, I'm interested if you have some last words towards the cheaters out there, to try to just maybe scare them straight. You know how those videos where some police father will take his kids to the police station and show them all the coke addicts sort of thing and scare his kids straight. Well, that's really what I'm going for here. What are we going to tell these cheaters? Last words, last thoughts about cheating. Who wants to go?
My last words to the cheaters is, I forgive you. I was a cheater. I had a game genie. I forgive you.
Turn the other cheek.
Right? I mean, there's this, I forgive you.
Wow. Okay. Is that maybe that's reverse psychology going on there?
Could be. I don't think that's going to change any behavior.
Straight from the principles here. Actually, you guys probably have a better idea about a lot of the sort of mind frame of some of these kids that are getting into it. For me, I'd say, if you mess up the game, nobody's going to play it. And these developers put a lot of their life into making this a very exciting, fun game. And then, especially newer developers, it's where they haven't experienced this before. Suddenly their perfect game is like just turned on its head. And if it didn't have all the security built in, the game can just fall apart. And we've seen a lot of games where players just, they just abandoned the game. The game fell apart, and it would have been a great game. And so, for the love of the game, don't do this. Come enjoy, truly feel the excitement of developing something in your life and not just having an instant gratification.
So you're basically telling them all to go get a job.
Well, not in so many words. Yes.
Okay. Hey, I've got my final words, and I'm going to take the opposite approach of Wacko Jacko. And instead of being, forgiving and taking that higher road, I am going to plant the black seed of death in your mind. And if you're listening to this, then I want you to know that karma is going to come back and bite you in the butt. And next time you go to cheat, you're going to remember that I've just planted a black seed in your mind. And you're going to decide, oh, should I cheat? Heck, I'm going to cheat, blah, blah, blah. But then something horrible is going to happen to you within 14 days. And that is karma, the black seed. So suck on that one.
That's right. Okay. I'm a resident Buddhist here. Cause and effect, it's real, baby. You watch it.
Unless you share this podcast to 14 friends, will it end this bad karma?
I love it.
Way to repent.
That is exactly right. That's how we're going to get more followers. Wacko Jacko, that was brilliant. That was perfect. Okay, friends. Well, hey, thanks for being here as a part of the Cheating Podcast. I'm sure we will have the second version of this podcast. Maybe 6 months from now when one of us has turned to the dark side, maybe, I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen. But regardless, thank you for being here. Wacko Jacko and joining me in Nightshade in the podcast. And I think that's us signing out.
All right. Thanks for coming. See you next time.
See ya.